Okay, so that's our presentations. So now we have our comment period. Is there anybody who would like to provide comment on Could you identify yourself?
Clint Faulkner, and I'm a parent here in the community. And I would have gotten into the presentation. I'm sorry I didn't realize the format. I do have something I'd like to address with the council. Probably take about 5 minutes. Is that too long, or does that qualify as a presentation?
So, what's your subject?
Specifically with the forum, public forum that was held here at Grand Forks.
Okay.
I can try to speed it up a bit.
Well, we have 10 minutes in total for all of our comment periods. So how many people are looking to provide comments to us this evening? Norm? Anybody else?
Are we allowed to comment on anything or just only
Comment
these
on-
presentations?
On items on the agenda. And
I don't know what the agenda looks like.
Why
did you want to talk about?
It
It was 390 pages long. Did you read it?
Yeah.
What was it, 97?
Okay, everybody. So we loosely
107.
do have it on our agenda, so I'm going to allow you to provide a comment to us, but I would appreciate you not taking like a whole lot of time, if that's okay with you.
Okay, I'll try to truncate it a bit, if I can. So, and this dovetails a bit into the presentation. It wasn't my intention, in fact, I didn't realize that they'd be here, but it does dovetail a bit into the presentation Victor's going to like. Clint Faulkner.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clint Faulkner. I'm a resident of Grand Forks. Proud father of 2 children that attend school in the district. I attended the middle school public forum up at Pearlie on the 22nd. Recently read the minutes. I noticed that, well, it looked like the majority of the questions and subsequent answers were addressed in there. I had a question that I had asked Mr. Zansoff. It wasn't addressed. I'd like to address it here. Anyhow, like I say, as a concerned parent of 2 Pearlie students, it was with great interest that I attended the public forum concerning the potential restructuring of the school district. And my reason for such keen interest in this issue is quite simple. I don't have a hidden agenda. It's my kids, and that's it. My children and the other children in the community, and what's best for them as far as education goes. My son's in kindergarten at Pearlie. My daughter's in grade 3. I was there and I'm here only because I care about my children's education and like I say, and the education of the other children in the community. I'm trying to kind of have this written out differently, so I'm kind of crossing out a little bit. But anyhow, throughout the presentation given at the Pearlie Gymnasium, the fact that research supported the concept of middle schools was touted several times. I would say that every pairing of administrators that got up and spoke, they at least at some point during the presentation mentioned that research supports it. Then during the question and answer period that followed, a local resident who used to be a school principal in Grand Forks, I think everyone here is familiar with this gentleman, more than likely. He used to be on the school board as well. He stated that the research that he was aware of did not support the middle school concept. And I'm not here to argue whether or not the research supports it or does not support it. That's not the issue I have. As a matter of fact, going into that meeting, I was supportive overall of the middle. I went to a middle school. I also went to a junior high. My dad was in the military. I traveled all over. I had a good experience with it. 20 minutes into that presentation, I didn't feel comfortable with the process, the way this process is being presented. Maybe the process is a good process. The seeming lack of transparency to the community about the process, from my perspective, is an issue. This gentleman went on for several minutes detailing specific studies about studies by Harvard, Columbia, that found that academic achievement plummeted when a middle school model was used. Again, I don't know if that's right or not. But I do know that Mr. Zansoff, who was facilitating the question and answer portion of the presentation, when he was finished, she simply said thank you and went to the next question. It was at that point that I felt like the little boy from the Emperor's New Clothes. If that's going to be a cornerstone of your argument, is that, hey, this is the right thing, this is, research supports it, then somebody details how, no, there's an issue. I'm looking at the research that says something different. That's not the way you address it. I was stunned by the answer. none of the subsequent questions addressed it. So I asked Mr. Zansoff if the board would ensure that they consider all applicable studies, both for and against, to include the studies that Mr. Clark had made mention of. Mr. Zansoff's answer to my question was worse than her non-answer of Mr. Clark's concerns. She said, with a straight face, that if I wanted that information from Mr. Clark, then I could get it myself. When I asked for some clarification, she again reiterated that point and said that if I wanted that information, I could get it from Mr. Clark myself. So my opinion is the right answer in a situation like that is never to snidely dismiss a concerned parent. Again, I'm not there.
So I'm going to interrupt you
Sure, please.
because you're actually moving past like a comment on
Okay.
on items that we have before us.
I did address that initially, and I think I was
Okay,
fair.
so if you want, do you have additional I mean,
Sure, I can skip ahead if it's if you don't have the time. I'll just say that I would appreciate today a respectful and meaningful reply to my question. Will this board ensure that they carefully consider all pertinent studies, for and against, to include the studies mentioned by Mr. Clark during their deliberations on this issue?
Okay, so the purpose, and I'm not trying to be difficult for you here, but the
Okay.
purpose of the comment period is to provide comments. So
Okay.
understanding that you there was not clarification for you as how our processes work. So presentations allow for you to present to the board, provide questions to us that we can get back to at a later time. The comment period is strictly for comment, and the purpose of it is if we have an item on our agenda, which is usually an action item, something that we could be making a decision on during our board meeting, then we allow our public and staff and partners to make comment to us on those items on the agenda so that we have that deeper understanding, if they feel we need it, of a particular issue. So we don't actually have on our agenda tonight an action item relating to the potential reconfiguration of schools. All we have on our thing is reporting out of community consultation.
So this does not then, because it doesn't, even with it dovetailing into the Christine Lake presentation?
They were, well, and so while not trying to be difficult for you, it would be more helpful for you if you clearly have something that's written out there. So if you want to forward that in its entirety to us so that we can see all of it, and if you want, and I get where you're coming from, and understanding the difficulty you're having with the pieces that we went through that evening and how that works into everything. What I can say to you is the purpose of our consultation there was partly to receive comments.
Sure.
Which was the comment that was received from Mr. Clark on his piece. He was not asking a question of us. He was just saying there is other pieces of research out there.
Sure.
And then
I wasn't given the opportunity to finish. I did address that specifically, and had I been given the opportunity to finish, which I understand if it doesn't fall into the procedural format that you guys have here, then I will respectfully discontinue, and I can address this in a different form later on. But I did address that specifically in the rest of my comment here, and I think that this is a very important issue, obviously, and probably the biggest issue for the community as far as schools go, going on right now. So, I wanted to address you tonight about this. If I'm not doing it,
all I'm trying to say is
procedure, then I can
don't
do
give us the question. Provide the questions to us, and if you have further comment you want to say, go right ahead and provide comment.
Sure, I'll
but
provide
questions,
okay.
please.
Okay, well then, because I can address exactly what you were saying there. I believe that the right, and that's what I was saying actually earlier, I believe the right answer is never to dismiss a concerned parent who's there only, I wasn't getting paid to be there. I was there because I care about my kids, and I want to know what's going on. And again, I went in being wholly, well, maybe not wholly, but definitely, in essence, in support of this if it's implemented properly. I think the right answer should have been, yes, we'll consider those studies, or more preferably at this point, really, we have already looked at them, and this is why, they do not correlate to our situation, or these are the potential, and this is what I'm getting at overall. I'm just hoping, and I'm not the only one that feels this way, trust me. There are a number teachers, or I'm sorry, a number of parents in this community that feel this way. A number of my friends that have children that go to Pearlie and other schools, they feel this way. I just think that you need to look at it. Look at everything. Look. Don't just look just because the research supports you. Don't just tout that. Where was the slide about the negatives? Because that's the point I was getting at. I can't ask a question, so I won't. So go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Vicki.
I just wanted to say that I contacted Mr. Clark and asked him for, what he was looking at. He sent them to me.
Sure.
I looked at them, and I would also like to comment that those studies have come up in the studies that we're looking at.
Sure.
They were referenced, and we also discussed them in our working sessions.
Before that,
Yes.
before that forum.
Yes.
Okay.
Before, during, and after.
Great. Okay.
And that they are quite different situations.
Sure.
And in fact, if you look at some of the stuff that's actually on the website, it actually refers to those studies.
And I have looked at that
talks
stuff.
about
Yeah.
their findings, and then
Sure.
talks about some of the.
And I have looked at it now. I guess my question is, why when I asked that of Mr. Zansoff, I think that should have been the answer. Should have been what you just said now, because even as Mr. Zansoff says there, it was addressed. She knew about it. So really, the answer should never be, if you want that answer, you go ahead and get it yourself. The answer really should have been, hey, look, we've looked at it, and honestly, these are the things they talk about, that why it failed. It doesn't correlate to this, because that was an urban, and whatever the reason is. That's how that should have been
If I
answered.
could just also clarify, I remember you talking, and I think you actually asked us to ask the chair to put it on the
Which
district website,
was
which
why
is a
what
different
was what I
kind
was
of thing.
responding to.
And that, that wasn't really something that
The question I asked was what?
I think you asked,
Yeah.
were we going to put that information on our website? I think that's what you actually
You did.
asked. And,
To make all of it, okay, and that's fine, but to make all of that information available, I would hope that all of that information is available. There should have been a slide, in my opinion, that said, again, and I'm for this. I'm not a Christina Lake parent that's against it. Just for their, I'm not. I went in being for it. When I see that this is obviously there's a huge lack of transparency, you have a huge slide that says these are all the positives, here's all the positives, but nothing addressing the negatives specifically, unless it's mentioned by the public. I'm concerned as a parent. I'm concerned with that process, and I think a lot of parents are concerned with that process.
Go ahead.
So,
I know in the two subsequent public forums
Mhm.
in the west end of the district, Kevin Argue actually did address that and said that it was brought up about these different studies,
sure.
and he did say the correlation between the two. Some of the problems were that the transition was an issue, and he said with our size of community and the demographics of the transition here, didn't think that would be a problem. So
Sure.
it was mentioned later on.
And that's
but-
the type of substantive reply that I would expect.
Well, and I guess also I can say, and I apologize if I came across to you as not as being dismissive. I was actually trying to be respectful of the position that was put forward by Mr. Clark without engaging in whether it was appropriate research for us or not. And I was also just trying to get to where you were asking us to put it on the website without. I was just trying to facilitate without it going to a place where we're going to say, well, that's good research and this isn't and that isn't. I was just trying to get past that and get on to other areas. And
Okay.
I wasn't trying to be dismissive or disrespectful, but
I
I was just
appreciate
trying
that reply, yeah.
to kind of keep the level down.
Sure. I
And
didn't
that's where
interpret
I
it
was
that
at.
way, but I do appreciate you addressing it here. And also I appreciate you guys making an exception to your procedures, and I apologize for any inconvenience that may have caused you. So that was my only comment.
And we appreciate concerned parents.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you can stay.
I was just going to step back here.
We're here till midnight.
Sorry,
Yeah, we're here till
I
midnight.
might say a little bit.
Okay,
Oh, sorry for that.
next up, Norm.
I didn't mind.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to cross out a couple things. Okay.
Just 3 points on the agenda. I always try to find some. On the Learning Initiative Fund, I've said it before, I'll just reiterate again. The union is really quite concerned about the fund, that it does not address the problems we have in schools. It does not adequately support students. We're looking at approximately $60 million compared to about $330 million that was removed from the system every year for the last 10 years. So it just does not cover what needs to be covered. And teachers are not happy about it, the union's not happy about it, and it just does not fix the problems, especially when we have increasingly, the student problems we have, the student achievement issues are a problem, the social fabric is a problem, that all filters into the school, and the LIF does not do kids justice. We know the composition is a problem here, everywhere, it gets more and more difficult every year. Just with the budget, there's a motion to pass the budget for next year. Now, I just sort of glanced through the collective agreement, and I was looking at the consultation process with the union, and I don't know whether I missed something, but there wasn't a whole lot of consultation. I don't know whether it's something that the union has to request, but there's language that the union can meet with the budget committee and discuss it. There wasn't a whole lot of discussion.
Norm, we had public meetings, right, that nobody came to.
But specifically the budget.
But you would have been notified of those public meetings.
Yeah.
So we had them.
Yeah.
I think we had 4.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I couldn't. I couldn't make it there. I guess I should have requested something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll schedule an issue. What do you do, right?
Well, don't give us crap about it.
I should have pushed it. Now, I'm just curious about the literacy plan. I'll try to not ask a question here, but I know you're going to be passing the district literacy plan again. And I'm not really sure what is in mind for Teacher Pro D. Not that that's a bad thing by any means, but I'm just curious where that's coming from. Is it teacher directed? Is it employer directed? I'm just curious about that. And
so you're asking if Teacher Pro D is connected in some way within the literacy plan?
With the district.
Well, it talks about the district literacy plan you're going to be passing. It says that one of the pigs is Teacher Pro D is part of it.
Okay.
So I'm just curious where that's being directed from. And talks about teacher collaboration, which is great. If that's during class time, I'm not sure what the format for teacher collaboration is. If it's after school, it's just one more thing the teachers have to do. They're burned out now. And just one more thing after school, another thing. It's just difficult. So hopefully if there's collaboration time, there'll be some format put into place that it can happen during class time. There'll be a release time for teachers to collaborate. I don't know if that's there, but yeah, we'll see. And it talks about literacy mentors. And I'll be curious about what kind of a role literacy mentors will have. Will they be released to go around and assist teachers with programming, with resources? I'm not sure what that is, so I'm just curious there. And with all of this...
Oh, that's what you're talking about, not the literacy plan.
Well, is that not the literacy plan
you're talking about the achievement contract.
But there's a literacy plan within the achievement...
No.
Oh, I misunderstood, because I couldn't find...
We're all confused.
There you go. Then that's not what you're passing.
No, we're passing 2 things. There's
Okay.
a district literacy plan that
Okay.
they have to pass.
Yeah.
Then there's an achievement contract tonight that they're going to hopefully pass in principle. And
Okay.
there is an enhancement agreement, a 5-year enhancement
Yeah.
agreement, that the request is to pass in principle. So there's 3 items.
Plans.
Okay, because I found literacy plan within the achievement contract.
Yes,
and,
that's
so,
it.
and I assume that was what you're passing.
have to put
Okay,
that
I apologize. Okay.
Okay. And you know what, Norm, our talking break tonight is about the academic plans and stuff, so we can get into
Okay.
that stuff there.
This is my last point on that, so now you know what I'm talking about. Now, with this achievement plan and literacy plan, I'm wondering about consultation with teachers. Have teachers been consulted in the development of
Okay,
this
you're asking
plan?
questions.
Okay, I'll work on it.
I wonder.
Yeah. Have you considered? Yeah. You get my point.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Does anybody else want to have anything to comment on? No?
I do, but I don't think it's close. So it'll be another time.
Are you staying for the evening? Are you staying for? Okay, well, you can ask a question at the end. Questions at the end don't necessarily need to be. Those are special hours for us. Okay. Thank you all.